Allow me to introduce you to the torch. This is the Nortel Minor Lampworking torch. I've been working with this type of torch for over 30 years and find it to be really fantastic for making flame work. It's sold by the Whale Apparatus Company in Hellertown, Pennsylvania, and today it sells for $135.20, which I feel is a real bargain for all of the work that you're able to make with it. It's a very easy torch to use and very easy to maintain. And I'd like to introduce you to the different parts of the torch so that you can understand how this torch works and how it enables you to create your flame work. This, again, like I'm saying, is the minor bench burner, which I have used for over 30 years. But I'd like to talk about a little basics here so that you fully understand exactly what you're dealing with. This torch is run on propane and oxygen. It's run on 5 pounds of propane and 10 pounds of oxygen. I use a green and red hose. The red hose is the propane and the green hose is the oxygen. These are the two knobs that regulate the way the oxygen propane come into the torch. The red knob is propane, and as I say, it coordinates with your red propane torch, but also you must always use hosing designated for these types of torches. As I said, this knob controls the propane and the entrance of propane into the torch. This knob controls the oxygen and the amount of oxygen that is entered into the barrel of the torch where it mixes and creates your flame. This is a stand. This is the stand that holds the torch. And even though, we're talking about extremely simple things here, I have to tell you that if you remove these two screws, bolts or screws, you will find that this piece lifts out. This is the barrel of the torch, as I said, where the oxygen and propane is mixed. If you take this off, you will find the actual barrel of the torch and the assembly of the torch. This piece is removable, as you saw me do this. This allows heat to radiate away from the torch, keeps the torch cool. If this torch should burn out, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, this piece is replaceable. You don't have to replace the whole thing. You just need to order this part, which will be a lot less expensive for you. And this is the part that's most likely to burn out over time. This is the front of your torch, where the flame will be coming out. And if you notice, there's little holes where the jets of flame come out. Occasionally, over time, the holes get clogged. And occasionally you should use this tool, which normally will come with a torch, but sometimes you need to purchase it. And this tool alone, because using anything bigger could destroy the head of the torch. And you very carefully go around once in a while, poking this into your tip of your torch, cleaning out any slag or debris that may have formed there. Or if you should, by accident, touch a piece of glass to the torch may have a clogged hole. And this will really hinder the way your torch performs. So when the torch is cold, you take the tool when the torch is cold and very carefully put this in all the holes, cleaning them out, taking debris out of your torch. That will keep your torch in good condition. Should you touch the torch with a piece of hot glass, don't panic. And as I said, it will stick to it. But turn your torch off and very gently, with a tweezer, try to see if you can pick that glass off of the head of the torch. If you can't, you will use this tool again to try to pluck it off and then clean the holes, going around to all of the holes. So this tool is very important. You must check the front of your torch when it's cold once in a while to make sure all the holes are clear. Your torch should always be secured to the bench. It shouldn't be freewheeling like this because it can move when you're working with it, and that can be dangerous. So you can use a C-clamp or any other device that you feel will hold the torch to the bench. The torch should never be just placed on a bench because you're apt to bump into it or, by accident move the hose, which will move your whole torch. So always secure your torch to the bench. Now you see that I've secured my torch to the bench with a C-clamp. One thing that's extremely important is that you always work on a fireproof surface. I purchased this 1/4-inch piece of steel, and I painted it with a heat-resistant paint. And my torch is on that. My torch is on a surface that will not burn. And I believe that you must have that in order to do flame working. You also must have the correct ventilation, which we will talk about in another video. And you must also work in a totally flame-proof area. It is also very important to wear the proper eye protection that's made specifically for flame working. And there are many, Well Apparatus sells eye protection, and Auralens sells eye protection. And that is vital to have before you start any flame working. You must also always be careful to wear flame retardant clothing, because there is always a chance that a hot piece of glass will fall on your lap. And you don't want to wear anything that could catch fire, so always make sure that you're wearing flame retardant clothing and covering your legs and feet with something, because hot glass can be dispersed. Another thing is you should always use licensed electricians and plumbers, and especially plumbers who know about flame working and who understand what you need to be safe in setting up your propane lines and your oxygen lines. And you should always get your gases from reputable dealers who understand what you're going to be doing with the gas. You should always place your fuel tanks, your oxygen and propane tanks outside. I advise that, even if it means running a hole through the wall for the hoses. I don't recommend sitting next to your tanks. I see a lot of people doing that, and I don't recommend it for safety purposes, especially if your torch is in your home. And I also feel that you should check with your local town's gas department and plumbing inspector to find out what the rules and regulations are in your town for safety. And I suggest that you use the guidelines in your town for safety use of a torch in a house or in your garage.